This week, mortals, we take a peek into the crime vampire's vault, where I tell tales that are for your ears alone. Stories that never made print, never made film, and those that are buried beneath NDAs. Every Valentine's Day in the mid-1990s, Hollywood woke to the same unease. Another body, another carefully staged scene, another death that felt less like violence and more like a love letter. This is the story of the Hollywood Valentine's killer and the man with many faces. Welcome to the crime vampire, where shadows scream and nightmares burn your retinas. February 14th, 1996, the first body was found. Julie Drake was discovered in her home, lying on her bed. There were no signs of forced entry, no visible injuries, and the room was undisturbed. She just looked like she was sleeping. A small antique bottle was found laying close by. Toxicology later confirmed the presence of poison. There was no note. It wasn't until officers gently removed the pristine bed cover that they saw it. A single, careful wound to the heart. The blade had entered cleanly. No tearing. No hesitation. Beside her hand lay an old knife. At first glance, a voluntary goodbye. At second, a forced one. Investigators noted the scene felt deliberate, ordered, staged. At the time, no one thought to ask why. It happened on Valentine's Day. A year later, another woman was found. Different scene, different circumstances. The only detail they shared was the date. Madeleine Rain was found at the base of a tower, long after the area had emptied for the night. Witnesses recalled seeing her there earlier that evening with a man. Calm, close, familiar. There were no signs of a struggle at the scene above. No indication she'd been chased, only the suggestion that she'd followed him willingly. And whatever happened next was abrupt, tragic. Another year rolled by, no suspects, no answers. Until Valentine's Day returned. Elia Clark was found drowned in shallow water. She was discovered just after dawn by a dog walker near a quiet bend of the bank known locally for its wildflowers. She lay partially submerged close to the edge. Although her clothes were heavy with water, standing could have saved her. There were no visible injuries, no drugs or alcohol in her system, no signs of a struggle in the surrounding area. Yet, water was found deep in her lungs. By the time the third body was found, coincidence was no longer convincing. 3 women, 3 different deaths, but the same date every time, Valentine's Day. The lead detective Schumer didn't say it was a pattern, not yet. The MO varied. The suspect composites conflicted. Still, something felt chosen. The year that followed, Detective Schumer returned to the files, quietly, alone. When Valentine's Day came again, another woman was found dead. Carmen Phillips, the youngest of the group. 21. She was found just outside a bar hosting a Valentine's night event, the kind with a mechanical bull drawing a crowd, cheers and laughter spilling out every time someone was thrown from the saddle. Carmen lay only steps from it. She had been stabbed once. Close. Precise. Police noted something that immediately stood out. There were no defense wounds, no signs of a struggle, 0 resistance. There was no press interest, no public link. The death was filed and faded like the others, but this time, Schumer didn't close the file. Time passed. Dead ends everywhere. 4 different men described, 4 different faces, nothing that held, not one of them ID'd. Just ghosts in the machine. Investigators obviously considered every possibility, but Schumer and his team reached an impasse. Then, the letter arrived. It read, "You haven't worked it out yet, have you? For what's in a name, that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet." No signature, no address, just the suggestion that the answer had been there all along. Schumer read the letter again, and then again. The reference was obvious, a line borrowed, not invented. Romeo and Juliet. That much was clear. But where was it meant to lead him? The quote wasn't a threat, it was a nudge. The killer wanted to be heard. So Schumer did the only thing left to him. He went back to the beginning. Julie Drake. Schumer went over the scene again, the photographs, the autopsy reports, the letter. What's in a name? The killer had asked. Not a threat. A question. Schumer flipped a page to a copy of the birth certificate. Then it hit him like a train. Juliet. Julie's birth name was Juliet. He went back to the autopsy report again. The wound had been placed where the heart lies closest to the surface. Exactly how it had been described in a story of tragic love. And suddenly, the letter was speaking in riddles no longer.
Listen to me. This isn't random. None of it ever was. They're being staged. Every one of them. Julie Drake wasn't just Julie. Her birth name was Juliet. Poisoned first, stilled, then stabbed through the heart. That old knife was a dagger. This is Romeo and Juliet. Next year, Madeline, found at the base of the tower. No signs of a struggle. A reenactment of the film Vertigo from the 50s. Then Elia Clark, held under shallow water, drowned deliberately. This is Ophelia. Shakespeare again. And then Carmen Phillips, one clean stab. It took me a while to find this one, but the link was The Mechanical Bull. This is the 1845 story of Carmen, later turned into an opera. She was stabbed outside a bull ring by her lover. Whoever is doing these murders isn't improvising. This isn't chaos, it's curation. Names lifted from tragic love stories, literature, film, and death staged to match, always on Valentine's Day. Different men, same pattern. That tells me this isn't one person acting alone. It's organized, educated, people who know these stories well enough to recreate them. We need to widen the net. Universities, actors, anyone with a literary or artistic background. Now get to work. Let's stop these SOBs before next Valentine's gets here.
They believed they were looking for many, but what they were really seeing was one. Gordon Knight. Faces were his speciality. Faces that convinced at a glance, faces that held up under scrutiny, and faces that deceived. He was a master of his craft, quietly in demand. Studios trusted him when something had to convince, up close, under lights, with no room for doubt. When illusion needed to hold, Gordon Knight delivered. He lived by a theory, nurtured over time, that faces unlocked the key to people's true colors. Changed the face, and behavior followed. He'd seen it on set, in auditions, on dates. He didn't believe in their performances. He only saw fickle, shallow responses from people who thought worth was only skin deep, and once Gordon accepted that, he stopped observing and began directing. And every director needs an audience.
Stop signs are red. Police lights are blue. I covered my tracks. Did you cover yours too?
The letter arrived in the morning. The body was found by nightfall. Anna Langley was found on the tracks at Westlake, MacArthur Park. Witnesses said it happened in a blink. One moment the platform was crowded. The next, she was airborne, as if she'd come from nowhere. Some swore she'd been pushed. Others weren't sure. It was too busy, too loud. Eyes were looking the wrong way to be certain.
Anna Karenina. The 1877 novel by Tolstoy. Train tracks. Public spectacle. A woman destroyed by love. It fits perfectly. I was right. He's staging literature. Romeo and Juliet, Ophelia, Madeline, Carmen, and now, Anna.
But this wasn't the end of the performance, mortals. It was the next act.
Sir, we pulled the subway cameras. It's grainy. Real grainy. But on the way out, he looks straight into the camera and smiles. The timeline matches.
It looked like an answer, but the Hollywood Valentine's killer had a point to make, and that hunger for glory would blow the case wide open. For things were about to get juicy.
I'd be lying if I said that don't look like you, Detective Schumer.
Look.
Latex become film, film become paper, paper become lines, and the lines proved their lies.
Schumer didn't go anywhere. He pulled an all-nighter, here, at the station. I was with him.
The penny finally dropped. What they were dealing with wasn't a network. It wasn't accomplices. It was masks.
Look, the killer's actually given us the biggest clue here. He wants to get caught. My God, only in Hollywood.
And from there, mortals, the hunt was on. When they entered Night's studio, the man with many faces was no longer a theory. He was etched in latex and in history. And yet, Gordon Knight was nowhere to be found. No packed bags, no missing passport, no sign of panic. But among the molds and the half-finished faces, they found something else. His writings, leather-bound, dated and indexed. What began as observations had hardened into belief, controlled and unnerving, an insight into a killer's mind.
February 3rd, Juliet. I tried 3 personas, myself, Mask 1, Mask 2, but Hollywood is a fickle place, and so are the women here. With each mask more desirable, as I sharpened the jaw, told a better story, their eyes brightened. Attraction is responsive to symmetry. Affection leans towards status. It's almost absurd how the right names cross my path sometimes. Beautiful packages, delivered without effort, as if the script is rewriting itself. The old stories understood something. Love costs.
Gordon Knight simply vanished, perhaps wearing one of his own faces, Schumer thought. It was sudden, unplanned. He left everything behind, evidence of another plan, another stolen story, another page decorated, and another name carefully chosen, for Valentine's would come again. From there, the search widened. Studios, workshops, old contacts, former apprentices. Every mask maker in Los Angeles was interviewed, every order logged, every supplier traced. His name was circulated quietly, airports flagged, borders alerted. Nothing. Years folded in on themselves. Each February the files were reopened. Each Valentine's Day, patrols doubled. Records combed for new aliases, new women with names that echoed old tragedies. They waited. For a body, for a letter, for the next act. But there was no Desdemona. No tragedy staged as a grand finale. Just silence. To this day, Detective Schumer will tell you the case remains open, the Hollywood Valentine's killer disappeared, and the man with many faces was never seen again. But allow me to let you into a little secret, mortals. I have always had a nose for sinners, and an appetite for the worst of them. It never made the papers, and the detectives believed a lie, that one day he could return, to curse the day meant for lovers. Gordon Knight attempted a rewrite, but the final draft was mine. Like the tale and leave your scent. Subscribe to Enter the Vault. The fan club awaits you, mortals, if you dare.